everybody. Welcome back to the Composition of Imagination. As always, I'm your author and host, Stevie Jo, and we talk about everything to do with my Angel of Death book series, from plot to character to location, whatever. We talk about all of it. And today I have two of my book guardians with me. I have Superman and MOMC. And all week long, we have been talking about, well, all month long for that matter, we've been talking about Elias Luck. In our Murmurs of Mer County series, we've been discussing his character development throughout the books. This week, we've been talking about Book 2, False Idol, so we're wrapping that discussion up today. Be sure you go back to the other two videos from this week, just so you kind of know where we are, because we're finishing it up today and just getting right on in there. So, Chapter 13 is where we will begin today's discussion. Elias meets with Regal at the Devil's Fountain. Regal comments that Eli, in an echo of Skyelar's thing, Eli, you should really hire a bar manager. And Elias laughs because, Sky said that just before he left to come there.
Oh, Jericho's think alike.
Exactly. So as it turns out, while they're talking just about what the meeting is for, Regal heard that James is planning something against the creatures, and it's really worrying him. Eli immediately realizes that Regal is trying to get him involved, and Elias is like, no, I don't want to be involved. He makes it very clear, yes. He makes it very clear that his obligation here is to protect Skyelar and nothing more. Primary main objective.
I'm telling you, it was the vision that he got when he sit there and went to Alchemist Falls.
It could have been.
Because he said, I know what I must do.
Yeah.
And now he's sitting there, he just stated what he's doing.
It could have been. And Regal starts exploiting that by asking, well, how far would you go for Skyelar? Which is a question Elias does not take lightly, to say the least. He even kind of sees it as a challenge from Regal. And much like Regal, though, we do have to wonder, why do you think Eli is so insistent on staying out of this creature cure issue? Because Regal asked that. He's like, if you want to protect Sky, why are you staying out of this?
Because it's an age-old rivalry. Think about it. You've had creatures since the dawn of man.
Yep.
And guess what? Man's always tried to get rid of creatures, and creatures have tried to get rid of humans, and yet here we are. We're still at the same impasse. It's just somebody new's trying to take a stab at it.
Yeah. So you think that he doesn't want to get involved because he's seen this story before.
He's seen the story, plus the fact he doesn't want to get mixed up in Jericho politics.
Like he promised Skyelar.
Yeah.
So.
And he doesn't want to lose Skyelar.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as the men keep talking, we learn that there's someone lurking in the shadows. Not literally, we mean figuratively. Regal is meeting with Elias actually at the behest of this mystery person. And that does not sit well with Elias at all.
I don't like this.
Yeah, he's like, I don't like this whole mystery thing. So when Regal asks permission to use Creature Comforts, which is the creature club at the bottom in the basement of the Devil's Fountain, he says, hey, can we use this as like a meeting location? We want to start this new creature union, and this would be the perfect meeting location. Elias hesitates because he doesn't feel like the ask has actually come yet. He feels like Regal is biding his time and trying to butter Elias up with other things first. Like, he thinks there's a bigger issue at hand here. And when Elias finally gets it out of Regal and learns that the creatures want Elias to run against James for mayor, Elias just laughs. Because he's thinking, Sky was right. This is a political play, and Eli is almost tempted into it because he knows he could do a better job than James. In fact, Eli almost seems to have the foresight to see how things would be different if he were mayor of Mer County instead, and that really gives him great pause. He even tells Regal that kind of power has always backfired in the past. So what do you think he means by that? Is it possible that Eli has been some kind of political official before? And what do you think happened to him to make him hesitate so much?
He got corrupted. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what power he has. I mean, we all understand political power.
Yes.
This dude's got real magical power.
And that may be what he's talking about, is having that leadership role.
Yeah.
With his magic. Might not be a good combination.
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
So what do we think happened to him before to make him...
He probably sit there, ran for governor or something. I think his role for a long time before he actually really got into the political was he was probably kingmaker.
Okay.
He was the guy that worked behind the scenes to get somebody elected and stuff like that and maintain whatever was going on. And probably got suckered into actually jumping into the arena, similar to what's going on in this.
Yeah.
And he got burned because he realized all the backstabbing, all the conniving that goes on from the time when he was a kingmaker to when he was actually doing it.
Okay.
I really like that, talking about kingmaker.
Because that's actually a thing we've never talked about before, so yeah. And that might explain his bloody past, as he phrases it.
Yeah. Maybe
he did something with that position of power.
There's a lot of places you can hide a body.
Yes. Yes. Well, chapter 13 ends with Elias telling Rhaegal, you know what? I don't make deals with shadows. I might consider a compelling case if it came straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And then we don't see Elias again until the next day. So we can assume that Elias thought the mayor issue was kind of put to rest because Rhaegal doesn't know who the ringleader of this whole creature circus is. But then chapter 22, the next time we see Elias, that kind of changes things. So I have to give you a really quick backstory of chapter 21 before we get into 22 because it's very important. I'm sorry, not chapter 21, chapter 20. In chapter 20, the entire Jericho family was brought to Virham Labs for a mandatory blood draw. Skye was texting Eli about the whole thing, so she fought against it and was ultimately coaxed into giving in by her father before her sister...
Yeah.
Before beating her sister up. It was a whole thing. We talk about it a lot in the Skyelar videos for Murmurs of Mur County, so go back and watch that. But this is important to know that this happened because she donated her blood, then her and Peyton fought, and Skye's just on a rampage right now. And it's really important to know all this because in chapter 22... Skyelar comes to Elias's house after the deed is done, and she is angry as fuck. Understandably so, I think. So Eli saw her coming a mile away and sensed her anguish in his mind long before she parked in his driveway. How do you think that's possible? Can he really sense what she's feeling in her mind, or am I just exaggerating?
No.
He could. Yeah.
He could totally feel it.
Yeah.
He could totally feel it, and it wasn't like she was hiding it. She's in so much she has so much anger and pain that it's probably like somebody using a bullhorn. Wherever she's going, it's like...
And she does bring a literal storm with her.
Yeah.
So it's very obvious that she's hurting right now.
And, and I could see that situation being a catalyst to get something to think in Eli's mind that, you know what? Enough of this James Jericho bullshit. Mm-hmm. Let somebody really challenge this old bastard and give him a taste of his own medicine. And
that actually goes to the next thing that we're talking about, because chapter 22 is very, very unique in the book. So Eli makes it known to us, the reader, that the events at Virham Labs angered him, just like you were saying.
Yeah.
But he wasn't going to dwell on it in this moment. He had to make sure first that Skyelar's okay. Like I said, primary main objective, protect Skyelar Jericho.
It's like RoboCop.
Yeah.
Rule number 1, protect Skyelar.
Yes. And
Rule number 2, protect Skyelar.
yes. And then after he makes sure she's okay, he's going to deal with this shit. So we talked in great detail about this chapter in Skyelar's videos. So I'm not going to linger too long, but it is a very critical chapter for their individual development as well as their relationship, whatever that may be right now. There's absolutely no dialogue in this entire chapter because you see Sky and Eli have the unique ability not just to talk telepathically, but to be in each other's presence, and everything that needs to be said is spoken purely through body language.
Yeah.
And emoting with your face and glances and all that. It's a beautiful thing, and I absolutely love showcasing it. I've ranted about how much I love it before. So, from Elias's perspective, every single thing he does in this chapter is a reaction to Skyelar's action.
Mm-hmm.
He patiently stands with her in the rain, toying with his onyx necklace, like just kind of, he shares a glass of bourbon with her. She tries to warn him away with how angry she is with a big clap of thunder, but he's not intimidated. All he wants to do is hold her and kiss her and let her know that everything's going to be okay because he's going to handle this for her. He will make this right. But he resists getting too physical.
Of course.
Even when they sit on his porch swing together and he wipes a tear from her cheek, he fights really hard to resist just cradling her in his arms. And he thinks to himself that becoming vulnerable and letting the physical spark take shape would damn her, and he couldn't damn her to that life. But at the same time, he would risk his entire world for her. And when the moment tempts them to just kiss already, he's the one who backs away. And it leaves her to just rest her head on his shoulder instead. It's a very heavy chapter for them. So we're going to ask a few questions here. First of all, what life would Elias be damning her to if the physical spark takes shape as he indicates? Why are you looking at me like that? You look like you had something to say. Oh, okay.
You know what? In this case, I don't know. I don't know what the man's thinking. He's doing everything to bring her in, and then sits there and goes, "Oh no, I can't do that."
He just has a bad inkling about it. I got a bad feeling about this.
Thank you, Han.
Yeah.
So the last question about this chapter, do you think that this spark and flame is actually visible? Like, is it a real tangible thing, or is it just something that they feel kind of like butterflies in your stomach or something?
No, it's a tangible thing. I mean, they sit there and they touched hands before.
Yeah.
The first time was basically the initial link.
Yeah.
And then subsequent times, it's basically just kind of, it's gotten less, but it's still there enough to them notice it.
Okay. So the last time that we see Elias in False Idols is chapter 24. It's safe to say, like you had mentioned before, the events of the previous day with that Virham Labs thing has pushed him to being more open to Rhaegal's deal from earlier where, he's like, how far would you go to protect Sky? But he's going to meet with the person in charge, basically, of this whole thing. He has to go to Falshuk Mountain to meet with whomever this mystery person is. And I mean, he has to go deep. He actually drives up this winding road, kind of weaving up the side of the mountain, and he goes so deep that the road just ends because they wouldn't pave it anymore, and it becomes a dirt trail. So he's deep in the woods of the mountain when he comes upon a giant redwood, which are not indigenous to Kentucky, and he knew right away, oh, that tree's there because of magic. I know I'm in the right spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he climbs, it's a hollowed out tree, so there's a ladder in there. He climbs the ladder, crosses an old wooden bridge to get to a little house that's made from the tree. And Eli walks into the house and is genuinely surprised to see who is waiting for him inside. And the only line you hear him say is, "Well, it looks like you're in need of a very good deal." Who do you think is waiting inside the redwood for him? And please keep in mind, we are only basing this on what we know up to book 2. Because it does get revealed later.
It's somebody that's probably close to Jericho's
Yeah.
and Barham Labs.
I don't know. It could be another worldly being.
Like
They're
someone
looking-
from the other realms?
Yes.
It could, but the fact that you could be, you look like you're in need of a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like something. That could be another creature.
That makes me think it's like a demon of some sort trying to make a deal.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, so why is Elias so important to the plans of this mystery person and the creatures of Mur County?
Because he's level. For all his contradictions, he is a level-headed person.
He is, very much so.
And that's what they need.
He moves slow, but he thinks about things.
Slow doesn't even cut it.
Just also being the owner of the bar and everything.
He's got a lot of dirt on people.
Probably, yeah.
Be like a central hub.
Yeah, which is what Regal asked for.
Exactly.
Okay, so last question. What kind of deal do you think this mystery person needs or has for Elias? Or what kind of deal do you think Elias has for this mystery person?
There's definitely something for him, and otherwise it wouldn't be a deal.
For sure.
I mean,
But
that's obvious.
Okay.
So it's like, what?
What does the other person have to gain?
Yeah, or what does the other person have to lose for
Mm.
him to gain something?
Oh, how interesting.
So
I was also thinking of, whatever deal they're striking, Sky's protections included.
Yes.
Her happiness is included.
Yes.
And her anger is included.
Yes.
Okay? So there's his part of the deal. That's what he's looking for. And I think the last part would be strong support. Because if he's going to stick his neck out and be public
Yeah.
with this, knowing his past, knowing there's other creatures out there that probably are out in Mur County somewhere or up on Fellowship Mountain
Mm-hmm.
that have crossed paths with him in the past, him popping his head up because they may know the Devil's Fountain, but it's not like he's running around going, "Hey, check me out. Hey,
Yeah.
check me out."
Yeah.
They may all start coming out of the woodwork, and then he's going to have to go on the defensive. And James is the type that would sit there and exploit it.
Yeah. That does it for this week. So thank you both so much for another great discussion about Elias as we got through the second book. And thank you all for watching as well. We're going to be back next week with more Murmurs of Mur County, focusing on Elias, and we're going to start talking about Veiled Commandments, which is book 3 in the series.
Woo!
So be sure you've watched all the other ones because we're just going to get into it in that one. So we love you, and we will see you next week.
Catch up on the Angel of Death series today. The first 4 entries are now available directly at StevieJoAuthor.com.